Good morning and welcome back to the channel where we're Ladybug Grace, where I'm currently reading through the Bible. We're starting a new book today called the Book of Daniel. But before we begin our prayer, Father, as I read and receive your word, may it deeply be rooted in me, so when difficulty comes, it will be your word that encourages and strengthens me. Amen. So the Book of Daniel, what's it about? Well, the author was Daniel. The date was 6th century BC. The content was Daniel was carried off in captivity to Babylon as a young boy. Although he was a captive, he received an education and rose to a high position in the Babylonian and Persian governments. Because of his trust in God, he was subjected to extreme persecution. At one point, he was thrown to the lions. Three of his countrymen will also face persecution. They were thrown into a furnace. They too survived by the power of God. The book deals with the many historical events of Daniel's day, but it also contains prophecies concerning the future. Daniel saw the great world empires that were to come. He also saw the power of God and Jesus Christ, who was to come and undo the evil of this world, ultimately to establish a kingdom of righteousness that would never fade away. The major theme of Daniel is God rules over the world. God rules over human events, directing the course of history to accomplish divine plans, working in and through the acts of people. Our kingdoms rise and fall, but God remains forever. God's purposes remain forever as well, and it's God's determination to save people from their evil ways. Ultimately, evil will be overcome and God will triumph because that is God's decision and plan. Chapter 1. Daniel to Nebuchadnezzar's court. During the 3rd year of King Jehoiakim's reign in Judah, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon came to Jerusalem and besieged it with his armies. The Lord gave him victory over King Jehoiakim of Judah. When Nebuchadnezzar returned to Babylon, he took with him some of the sacred objects from the temple of God and placed them in the treasure house of his God in the land of Babylonia. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, who was in charge of the palace officials, to bring to the palace some of the young men of Judah's royal family and other noble families who had been brought to Babylon as captives. Select only strong, healthy, and good-looking young men, he said. Make sure they are well versed in every branch of learning, are gifted with knowledge and good sense, and have the poise needed to serve in the royal palace. Teach these young men the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily ration of best food and wine from his own kitchens. They were to be trained for a 3-year period, and then some of them would be made his advisors in the royal court. Daniel, Hannah, Mishael, Azariah were 4 of the young men chosen, all from the tribe of Judah. The chief official renamed them with these Babylonian names. Daniel was called Belteshazzar. Hananiah was called Shadrach. Mishael was called Meshach. Azariah was called Abednego. But Daniel made up his mind not to defile himself by eating the food and wine given to them by the king. He asked the chief official for permission to eat other things instead. Now God had given the chief official great respect for Daniel, but he was alarmed by Daniel's suggestion. My lord the king has ordered that you eat this food and wine, he said. If you become pale and thin compared to the other youths of your age, I am afraid the king will have me beheaded you for neglecting my duties. Will have me beheaded, not you, for neglecting my duties. Daniel talked it over with the attendant who had been appointed by the chief official to work for Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Test us for 10 days with a diet of vegetables and water, Daniel said. At the end of the 10 days, see how we look compared to the other young men who are eating the king's rich food. Then you can decide whether or not to let us continue eating our diet. So the attendant agreed to Daniel's suggestion and tested them for 10 days. At the end of 10 days, Daniel and his 3 friends looked healthier and better nourished than the young men who had been eating the food assigned by the king. So after that, the attendant fed them only vegetables instead of the rich foods and wines. God gave these 4 young men an unusual aptitude for learning for literature science at the time. And God gave Daniel a special ability to understand the meanings and visions of dreams. When the 3-year training period ordered by the king was completed, the chief official brought all the young men to King Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with each of them, and none of them impressed him as much as Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they were appointed to his regular staff of advisers. In all matters requiring wisdom and balanced judgment, the king found the advice of these young men to be 10 times better than that of the magicians, enchanters of the entire kingdom. Daniel remained there until the first year of King Cyrus's reign. Chapter 2. Nebuchadnezzar's Dream. One night during the 2nd year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had a dream that disturbed him so much that he couldn't sleep. He called to his magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers, and he demanded that they tell him what he had dreamed. As he stood there before the king, he said, "I have had a dream that troubles me. Tell me what I dreamed for I must know what it means." Then the astrologers answered the king in Aramaic, "Long live the king. Tell us the dream, and we will tell you what it means." But the king said to the astrologers, "I am serious about this. If you don't tell me what my dreams was and what it means, you will be torn limb from limb, and your houses will be demolished into heaps of rubble. But if you tell me what I dreamed and what the dream means, I will give you many wonderful gifts and honors. Just tell me the dreams and what it means." They said again, "Please, your majesty, tell us the dream, and we will tell you what it means." The king replied, "I can see through your trick. You are trying to stall for time because you know I am serious about what I said. If you don't tell me the dream, if you don't tell me the dream, you will be condemned. You have conspired to tell me lies in hopes that something will change. But tell me the dream, and then I will know that you can tell me what it means." The astrologers replied to the king, "There isn't a man alive who can tell your majesty his dreams. And no king, however great and powerful, has ever asked such a thing of any magician, enchanter, or astrologer. This is an impossible thing that the king requires. Don't accept the gods can tell you your dream, and they do not live among the people." The king was furious when he heard this, and he sent out orders to execute all the wise men of Babylon. And because of the king's decree, men were sent to find and kill Daniel and his friends. When Arioch, the commander of the king's guard, came to kill them, Daniel handled the situation with wisdom and discretion. He asked Arioch, "Why has the king issued such a harsh decree?" So Arioch told him all that had happened. Daniel went at once to see the king and requested more time so he could tell the king what the dream meant. Then Daniel went home and told his friends Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah what had happened. He urged them to ask the God of heaven to show them his mercy by telling them the secret, so that they would not be executed along with the other wise men of Babylon. That night the secret was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven, saying, "Praise the name of God forever and ever, for he alone has all wisdom and power. He determines the course of world events. He removes kings and sets others on the throne. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the scholars. He reveals deep and mysterious things and knows what lies hidden in darkness. Though he himself is surrounded by light, I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors, for you have given me wisdom and strength. You have told me what we asked of you, and revealed to us what the king demanded." Daniel interprets the dream. Then Daniel went in to see Arioch, who had been ordered to execute the wise men of Babylon. Daniel said to him, "Don't kill the wise men. Take me to the king, and I will tell him the meaning of his dream." Then Arioch quickly took Daniel to the king and said, "I have found one of the captives from Judah who will tell your majesty the meaning of your dream." The king said to Daniel, also known as Belteshazzar, "Is this true? Can you tell me what my dream was and what it means?" Daniel replied, There are no wise men, enchanters, magicians, or fortuners who can tell the king such things. But there is a God in heaven who reveals secrets, and he has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the future. Now I will tell you your dream and the vision you saw as you lay on your bed. While your majesty is sleeping, you dreamed about coming events. The revealer of mysteries has shown you what is going to happen. And it is not because I am wiser than any living person that I know the secret of your dream, but because God wanted you to understand what you were thinking about. Your majesty, in your vision, you saw in the front of you a huge and powerful statue of a man, shining brilliantly, frightening and awesome. The head of the statue was made of fine gold. Its chest and arms were of silver. Its belly and thighs were of bronze. Its legs were of iron, and its feet were a combination of iron and clay. But as you watched, a rock was cut from a mountain by supernatural means. It struck the feet of iron and clay, and smashing them to bits. The whole statue collapsed into a heap of iron, clay, bronze, silver, and gold. The pieces were crushed as small as chaff on the threshing floor, and the wind blew them all away without a trace. But the rock that knocked the statue down became a great mountain that covered the whole earth. That was the dream. Now I will tell your majesty what it means. Your majesty, you are king over many kings. The God of heaven has given you sovereignty, power, strength, and honor. He has made you the ruler over all the inhabited world and has put even the animals and birds under your control. You are the head of gold. But after your kingdom comes to an end, another great kingdom inferior to yours will rise to take your place. After that kingdom has fallen, yet a third great kingdom, represented by the bronze, belly, and thighs, will rise to the world. Following that kingdom, there will be a fourth great kingdom as strong as iron. That kingdom will smash and crush all previous empires, just as iron smashes and crushes everything it strikes. The feet and toes you saw were a combination of iron and clay, showing that this kingdom will be divided. Some parts of it will be as strong as iron, and others as weak as clay. The mixture of iron and clay also shows that these kingdoms will try to strengthen themselves by forming alliances with each other through intermarriage. But this will not succeed, just as iron and clay do not mix. During the reigns of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed. No one will ever conquer it. It will shatter all these kingdoms into nothingness, but it will stand forever. That is the meaning of the rock cut from the mountain of supernatural means, crushing to the dust the statue of iron, bronze, clay, silver, and gold. The great God has shown your majesty what will happen in the future. The dream is true and its meaning is certain. Nebuchadnezzar rewards Daniel. The king Nebuchadnezzar bowed to the ground before Daniel and worshipped him, and he commanded his people to offer sacrifices and burn sweet incense before him. The king said to Daniel, "Truly your God is the God of gods, the Lord over kings, a revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal the secret." Then the king appointed Daniel to a high position and gave him many valuable gifts. He made Daniel ruler over the whole province of Babylon, as well as chief over all his wise men. At Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be in charge of all affairs of the province of Babylon, while Daniel remained in the king's court. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. I will continue with Daniel tonight. Last night I was a little tired again. I wasn't able to read and give 100%, so coming on this morning to do it. But whatever day you're listening to this, I hope you're having a great day and a blessed day. And until the next time, hopefully tonight, I'll see you then. Bye.